The curtain separating business class from first class is usually a flimsy piece of fabric designed to remind the middle class of their inadequacy. It is a psychological barrier, not a physical one. But tonight, on Flight 242, the barrier had evolved. It was now a fortification. Senator Eleanor Vance, operating on a metabolic frequency that would kill a rhinoceros, had been busy. In the 20 minutes since he declared independence from the rest of the aircraft, he had mobilized the wealthy elite of Row 1 through 4 into a construction battalion. Using 3 beverage carts, a stack of Toomey carry-on luggage, and a pilfered life raft that someone had managed to partially inflate, Vance had constructed a barricade. It was jammed into the aisle, sealing off the cockpit and the forward galley from the infection of the rear cabin. Vance stood atop his creation, balancing precariously on a crate of tomato juice. He was shirtless. His tie was tied around his forehead like Rambo, if Rambo had spent 40 years in a country club and never done a single push-up. "Hold the line!" Vance screamed, his voice cracking. "The air is pure here. We have the good air. They want to steal our oxygen." Behind him, his constituents were losing their minds in the most expensive way possible. A hedge fund manager was trying to buy the silence of the PA system, stuffing $100 bills into the speaker grill. A socialite in 2A was convinced the turbulence was a paparazzi helicopter trying to land on the wing, and she was aggressively applying lipstick to look good for the crash. On the other side of the curtain, the sane squad was advancing. Tasha Green led the phalanx. She moved with the aggressive, click-clack cadence of a lawyer late for a verdict. Her eyes were dilated, yes, but her focus was absolute. The beta blockers were holding the line against the cocaine's jittery edge, leaving her with a cold, terrifying clarity. "Business class is clear," Tasha reported, stepping over a man in a suit who was lying on the floor, swimming through the carpet as if it were a pool. "They're not violent. They're just tripping out." It was true. The business class passengers, dosed with the white fog, hadn't turned into a lynch mob like economy. They had turned into a hyper-accelerated networking event. They were aggressively agreeing with each other, exchanging business cards at light speed, and brainstorming synergy for companies that didn't exist. "I have an idea for a vertical integration of clouds," one man shouted at Tasha as she passed. "We monetize the fog. It's brilliant. Call me." "I'll have my people call your people," Tasha lied, stepping on his hand. "Keep moving," Luca murmured from behind her. He was carrying a roll of duct tape like a weapon. "The fog is getting thicker. Visibility is down to 5 rows." It was a blizzard. The failure in the cargo hold was now pumping the aerosolized powder at maximum output. The cabin lights refracted through the haze, creating halos around the passengers. It was beautiful, in a horrifying way, a snow globe shaken by a mad god. Sheila brought up the rear. She was dragging the metal coffee pot, which clanged against the seats like a mournful bell. She looked at the business class passengers with the weary disdain of a woman who had cleaned up their vomit for 3 decades. "Amateurs," Sheila muttered, lighting a second cigarette from the ember of her first. "They can't handle the clean stuff. In my day, we did lines off the beverage cart during turbulence and still landed with a smile." They reached the barricade. The wall of luggage and carts loomed out of the fog. It was impressive, in a chaotic, structural failure sort of way. "Halt!" Vance shrieked from the top of the rampart. "Who goes there? Are you the caravan? Are you the bad hombres?" Tasha looked up at the senator. "Senator Vance, I'm Tasha Green. I'm a registered voter and a corporate attorney. We need to speak to the captain. The captain is compromised." Vance spat. "He's in the deep state bubble. He refuses to build the wall higher. But I fixed it. I secured the border, Senator, Tasha said, using her deposition voice, calm, reasonable, dangerous. You have built a wall out of duty-free gin boxes and Samsonite bags inside a pressurized aluminum tube. You are violating federal safety regulations. Regulations are for the weak. Vance laughed. It was a manic, high-pitched giggle. I have the mandate. Look at my people. They love me. He gestured to the first-class cabin. A woman was currently trying to breastfeed an emotional support pug. They are hallucinating, Senator, Tasha said. And so are you. The air is toxic. We need to land the plane to flush the system. If we don't land, your heart is going to explode. Literally. Your pulse will tank if you're dead. Vance paused. The political threat penetrated the psychosis for a fraction of a second. Dead? No. I'm invincible. I feel like I could fight a bear. Bring me a bear. We don't have a bear, Luca said, stepping forward. But we have a very angry flight attendant. Sheila stepped past Tasha. She didn't look up at Vance. She looked through him. She walked up to the wall of carts. Hey! Slick! Sheila barked. Her voice was pure contempt and authority. It was the voice that had stopped bar fights in 1980s Vegas and shut down unruly passengers over the Atlantic for 20 years. Vance blinked. Are you the angel of democracy? I'm the lady who knows where the latch is, Sheila said. She didn't try to climb the wall. She knew the mechanics of the airline trolleys better than she knew her own cat's purring. She reached through a gap between two suitcases, found the hidden release pedal on the bottom cart, and kicked it. Click. The brake released. The plane was flying at a slight upward pitch. Gravity, the uninvited guest, took over. The bottom cart rolled backward. The structural integrity of the Great Wall of First Class collapsed instantly. The tower of suitcases toppled. The life raft slid sideways. And Senator Vance, standing on his crate of tomato juice, lost his footing. He didn't fall gracefully. He flailed, grabbing at the air, and tumbled down into the aisle, landing in a heap of expensive luggage and dignity. The perimeter is breached. Vance screamed, scrambling backward on his hands and knees. Code red. Deploy the assets. From the shadows of row 1, a figure emerged. It was the Secretary of Defense. A large man, a linebacker in a polo shirt, whose eyes were dilated so wide they looked like pools of oil. He was holding a fire extinguisher. Protect the president, the man roared. He's a senator. Tasha corrected, but the man was already charging. Luca! Tasha yelled. Luca didn't need the prompt. He dropped the duct tape. He stepped into the aisle. The man swung the fire extinguisher, a heavy, clumsy, lethal arc. Luca ducked. The cylinder whooshed over his head, smashing into a plastic meal tray. Luca didn't counterattack with punches. He knew the man couldn't feel pain right now. Punching a guy on this much cocaine was like punching a brick wall, you'd only break your hand. Instead, Luca used the environment. As the man stumbled forward, carried by the momentum of his swing, Luca dropped to one knee and pulled the man's shoelaces. It was a playground trick, executed with lethal precision. The man tripped. He face-planted into the carpet with a force that shook the floorboards. Before he could scramble up, Luca was on his back. He grabbed the man's own belt, looped it around his ankles, and cinched it tight to his wrists in a hog-tie maneuver. Medical restraint, Luca grunted, tightening the leather. Standard procedure for cargo. The man thrashed, screaming about liberty, but he wasn't going anywhere. Tasha stepped over the fallen senator. Vance was curled in a ball, trying to hide behind a discarded Sky Mall magazine. "Senator," Tasha said, looking down at him. "You are relieved of command. You can't do this." Vance wept. "I have a mandate. I have the demographics." "You have a nosebleed," Tasha said, handing him a napkin. "Wipe your face. You're leaking populism everywhere." They reached the cockpit door. It was a reinforced slab of gray metal, the only thing separating the madness from the controls. The keypad was glowing red. Locked/denied. "It's sealed," Marcus said, coming up behind them. "They locked us out." "Of course they did," Sheila said. "Captain O'Donnell goes by the book. He thinks we're terrorists. He thinks the senator is Osama bin Laden in a spray tan." She picked up the interphone handset on the wall. She pressed the emergency code. Inside the cockpit, Captain O'Donnell jumped as the buzzer sounded. It wasn't the normal call chime. It was the specific rhythm for cabin secure/all clear. He looked at the monitor. The camera feed from the door was obscured by the white fog. He could only see silhouettes. "Don't open it," Ruiz warned. "It's a trick. They're trying to lure us out." O'Donnell picked up the headset. "Flight deck. State your intent." "Intent?" Sheila's voice crackled through the line. "My intent is to not die in a tin can with a bunch of Republicans who think they're Superman." "Open the door, Adrian." "Sheila?" O'Donnell frowned. "Sheila, are you under duress?" "I am under the influence of approximately 22 grams of aerosolized Colombian flake, Adrian." "We all are. But I'm holding it together because I'm a professional. Now listen to me closely." Sheila took a drag of her cigarette, exhaling a cloud of smoke that mixed with the cocaine fog. "The passengers aren't hijacking the plane. The plane drugged the passengers. You understand?" The cargo hold threw up. "We are hotboxing the Atlantic. The children are unconscious because their metabolisms crashed. The adults are psychotic because they have zero tolerance. You are flying a drug den." O'Donnell looked at Ruiz. The logic held. The gas attack. The silence of the kids. The madness of the adults. "How do I know it's safe to open?" O'Donnell asked. "Because," Sheila said, her voice softening just a fraction. "Remember Vegas, '89? The bachelor party with the donkey? You told me you'd never leave a wingman behind." O'Donnell closed his eyes. He remembered. "And," Sheila added, "I have the senator tied up with a belt. He's currently trying to debate a shoe." O'Donnell flipped the toggle switch. Funkus. The magnetic locks disengaged. The heavy door cracked open. The air pressure differential sucked a swirl of white fog into the cockpit. O'Donnell and Ruiz recoiled, pulling their oxygen masks tight. Sheila stood in the doorway, framed by the white haze like a noir hero. Tasha and Luca stood behind her, looking like the coolest, most dangerous people on Earth. "Evening, boys," Sheila said, flicking ash onto the carpet. "We need to talk about our descent profile. And I need a vodka tonic. Double. No ice." The cockpit was breached. The sane squad had taken the bridge. But outside the windows, the night sky was vast and indifferent, and the fuel gauge was ticking down. Back in economy, the zombies were waking up from their shock, and they were getting thirsty.